Welcome to the Do Zone, where real entrepreneurs share real strategies about getting things done. I'm your host, Josh Thomas. Tag me at JT Literally. Show me what you do in the Do Zone. Every week, I'll pick the best post to feature across all my social networks. This podcast is brought to you by Factor One. If you're a six-figure entrepreneur who's looking to hit 7 this year, there are 3 key shifts you need to make right now in order for it to be possible. Go to iamfactor1.com now, and I'll show you exactly what those 3 key shifts are and how you can get them set up for your business in less than 6 minutes. Once again, that's iamfactor1.com. Today's guest is Mike Begg. Mike Begg is an entrepreneur and expert in e-commerce and digital marketing. Mike co-founded AMZ Advisors with his 2 partners in 2015, which has generated over $500 million in sales for its clients. Mike and the AMZ team also operate AMZ courses, educating Amazon sellers on how to maximize sales on the platform, and Go Events, which helps brands expand into Latin America. Mike loves sharing advice and help on anything related to Amazon and building efficient businesses. Mike, welcome to the Do Zone. Tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Well, Josh, thanks for having me. I would say the key, at least from my perspective, I'm a very big fan of Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way. When it comes to getting things done, the thing that I feel that needs to be done the most is the thing I want to do the least. I feel like when I tackle the biggest obstacle I have or find a solution for what's causing me the most mental frustration or mental pain, it really starts getting the momentum flowing and everything else just kind of knocks itself out from there. So tackling your hardest obstacle is usually the way that I focus on being as productive as possible.
Yeah, I've heard variations of that where I want to take the easiest thing, but you're going the opposite way and you're saying, hey, I want to take the hardest thing possible and just knock it out of the way because everything after that's gravy.
Yeah. I mean, typically the hardest thing is the thing that's probably going to have the most significant impact on what you're doing. There's a reason why you're avoiding it or why it's so hard, and that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of focus. It might take a lot of energy. It might force you to make a lot of changes. All of those are reasons that are preventing us from actually growing. So that's why, for me, from my perspective, focusing on those things and tackling those things is the most important to keep the momentum, going in the right direction.
It makes a lot of sense, man. And we talk about productivity here on this podcast a lot, and a lot of times people are just getting stuck in the same place. They're getting stuck at the beginning where they're like, I don't know what to do, and there's so many choices. I can go in so many different directions, and a lot of people, Mike, they just sit there and don't do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what would you say has been really that key to, all right, I got to tackle the hard thing first? That sounds intimidating to most people. What would you say is the best tip or rule that you might follow to really start that process of getting that hard thing out of the way?
For me, I have a very specific process when it comes to breaking down exactly what the big obstacle is and kind of trying to find solutions around it. First, I really need to I'm very visual, so I need to write out exactly what I see as the blockers or the contributing obstacles that are making this bigger one possible. So what are the smaller things that are making this bigger thing an issue? And how does solving one of these resolve the bigger issue, or does it resolve everything else? So a lot of things are interconnected. So when I actually map it out and write and draw where I want to focus my time, how I'm going to start attacking this, it gives me a really clear map on what steps I need to get done in what order. And then from there, it becomes a lot easier to just move along through the cycle. But I mean, you bring up a really good point. I remember when I was just starting my businesses, there's no one directing you on what needs to be done. It's like, where do you focus your attention? Where do you focus? It's typically the most critical aspect. And the most critical aspect could be the biggest obstacle. It could also be, the biggest change or the biggest revenue driver in your business, whatever it may be. Focusing on those things, the big picture, and then using delegation for a lot of the smaller stuff, I think is generally the best way to go about things.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And, we could go in a couple of different directions on this conversation just because of your pedigree and the things that you're focusing on right now. I love talking about the opportunity to build an Amazon store and people who are selling on Amazon. That's cool. But you know what? There's a lot of people talking about that. one thing that really stood out to me is you moved to Mexico a few years ago, and you are specifically helping brands who are not connected to Latin America or not in Spanish or something, and how to connect them and cross the border and get them kind of integrated into a different culture, a different society, a different language. Tell me about that. First of all, how did you even get started with that?
Well, you're right. There's a lot of different ways we could take this. And originally, I moved to Mexico about 6 years ago when I was starting in the first year of getting the business going, of getting AMZ Advisors, my main business going. We were trying to give it as much of a runway to get started. So we figured, let's save money. Let's move somewhere cheaper that we want to be. I'm originally from Connecticut. I hate the cold. I hate the winter. So we moved to Playa del Carmen. From there, I ended up moving to Guadalajara, which is where I met my wife, and I've been here ever since. So that's how I ended up in Mexico. From there, living in Mexico during those 6 years, I realized as a consumer, on the AMZ side, I was helping brands sell products on Amazon. I was shopping on Amazon every day. I was on Amazon every day. I was seeing how much variety, how much selection I had. And in Mexico, it doesn't exist. The variety and the product selection you have is very limited, or a lot of the products are imported from the US. And you can see clearly on the listings, they say importación, meaning imported, or literally importation. And that's not a great buying experience because there's a lot of hidden fees when you're a customer purchasing a product from another country that a seller necessarily doesn't know about. I remember the first time I was buying monitors, I ended up paying like 100% the price of the monitor.
That's right.
So from that,
a huge like a tariff or import tax on electronics, for example.
Yes.
I was in Argentina,
Yep.
and I had an employee there, and I was gonna get her a Mac, and then I looked at the prices and I was like, nope.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's like 5 months salary.
Side note, I had a friend smuggle about 10 of the mini Macs, the little boxes down here to Mexico on a carry-on. But that's exactly where the idea came from. It's like, I don't have good product selection. I'm paying all these absorbent fees. How can I help brands access this market that's growing quickly? And then how can I help consumers get better product selection? So from there, the idea of Go Avance was born. And ever since then, we've been partnering with a lot of US and European brands that are interested in getting into Latin America, but don't have all the infrastructure and the team in place to do it.
That's fascinating. And who is this a good fit for? Who would be the type of person that would engage your service to take their product and put it into Latin America and Mexico?
Essentially anyone that has a CPG or a physical product. Where we work with all types of brands, from food, supplements, cosmetics, pet supplies, baby supplies, toys. So like across, we're pretty category agnostic. We will work across every category. And brands that are open-minded to getting into new markets. The great thing about Mexico in comparison to the US, or Amazon specifically, cost per clicks, advertising costs on Amazon are insanely high. In Mexico, they're about 1/10 of the cost. So if you are trying to be budget conscious, or trying to get the best return on your advertising budget as possible, looking at other markets for global expansion, not necessarily Mexico. I mean, there's some great markets in Europe as well. It's a good fit for those types of brands that are open-minded, that aren't just focused 100% on the US, that see opportunities in other places. And yeah, those are the types of companies we're working with.
And so, just really going one layer deeper on this, and the reason I'm being a little bit selfish right now, because the reason I'm asking you about this is because for years now, I took a trip to Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
I've been all over Latin America. I love Mexico. I've been there dozens of times. What's the like rainforesty restaurant there in Guadalajara? It's like super touristy.
Santo Coyote.
Santo Coyote, yeah, that's it. I went there one time, and so Mexico is great. It holds a special place in my heart. And when I was in Guatemala one time, and that's when I noticed, the first time I noticed that 80 to 90% of the population of Latin America are entrepreneurs, because getting a job sucks. It's basically enslavement. And so the only way that somebody can provide for their family is to start a business. And we've got all of the knowledge and experience and perspective, and the leaders in business, they're all speaking English and they're all sitting in the US for the most part. And nobody's crossing the border and sharing that with hundreds of millions of people who are hungry for this knowledge because they have real world needs for it. Like, I could apply that today in my business because I don't have the insights that you have just because of the language barrier. And that's, to me, has always been a passion of, how do I serve this community that has been horribly neglected for hundreds of years at this point?
Yeah. And that was for me, that was one of the most exciting things about coming down here and, opening up offices and hiring people, is that, like you said, e-commerce was something that was getting popular here, but there weren't companies dedicated to it. It's changed a lot over the 6 years since we've been here, but we were one of the first companies here hiring for e-commerce. So we were creating an entire new job category for people that wanted to learn, that wanted to advance, that wanted to get ahead on stuff. And it's been awesome, like, kind of building that out. And a lot of our employees have left to go on to other companies and start other companies as well. So it's been pretty amazing from our perspective to be able to contribute in that way by creating, obviously, jobs, but also creating opportunities in e-commerce and watching the e-commerce industry grow down here. And that's something that I've really enjoyed.
I love that. You're making a big positive impact on the world. And so tell us, I know that you offer training in English for people who want to sell in the United States, and also you have this Go Avance for outside of the US. So tell us a little bit about who's a good fit to engage with you on that, and how can we learn more about it?
For sure. So from anyone that wants to learn about Amazon, I mean, checking out AMZ courses is the way to go. The courses there are all in English. We are working on a Spanish version, but we don't have it yet. That's really for people that are getting started. People that are already selling in e-commerce, but not necessarily on Amazon, or not getting the results that they are looking for on Amazon, can reach out to us at amzadvisors.com. We can figure out what program they fit into. We have a new to Amazon program and an Amazon accelerator program based on helping you launch or helping you grow on the platform. And then finally, from a global expansion aspect, we also help with moving brands from the US or Europe to other marketplaces worldwide, or specifically from the US and Europe to Latin America with Go Avance. So those for those companies, we're looking for brands that are already a little bit more established, sellers that have been selling online for a little bit longer and have strong supply chain. But it's exactly the type of company that we have a lot of success growing with on both company sides.
Awesome. I love that. So for those who are looking to learn more about selling on Amazon, we can go to amzadvisors.com. And for those who are looking to get their products into international markets, it's Go Avance. Spell that for me, please.
GOAVANCE.com.
Love it. Hey, we're going to wrap up from here. Thanks so much to Mike Begg for coming on and sharing a little bit of wisdom about how he gets things done on the other side of the border. You can connect with him by going to amzadvisors.com or goavance.com. If you listen to us on your morning commute or workout or somewhere out in the field, be sure to snap a selfie and tag me at JT Literally and tell me what you do in the do zone. Also, if you're ready to break the 7-figure barrier with your business, but you know what got you here ain't going to get you there, we can help. Go to iamfactor1.com now, and let's see how much impact we can make in less than 6 minutes. Know this, you are Factor One for your own success. Now let's get to work.